Good morning, class. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party on campus. It's our birthday today. Well, it's Professor Hatter's birthday. I mean, my name's Jeff, but I've been around for about 27 years. But Professor Hatter is around for 4 years. I have had this channel, this persona, not really persona because it's just same me, but the character, the name of Professor Hatter for 4 years now. I've been a hat collector. I talk about in two different periods. One of just having hats when I was younger that I didn't necessarily want to collect them, but just get hats. It wasn't as serious of a thing until like August of 2016 when I got my first Lids hat, and with the Cubs hat, the 47 brand MVP with a structured crown to it, Velcro hat. And then from there, it wasn't until June 10th, 2018 that that's when I started the channel, but the first video wasn't up until June 19th, 2018, which is just an introduction video. Maybe next year I'll like react to my early videos. I don't know if 4 years warrants that entirely. So maybe at 5 years next year I'll do a look back and be like, oh, look at me so young 5 years ago, how darling do I look, how innocent. I never knew back then what this journey would be like. I'll do that next year. But in 2022, even in 2021, but in 2022, kind of my topic point that I want to talk about in the video here is thinking of the question for myself to answer: what if I was to start Professor Hatter today? Not on June 19th, 2018, but on June 19th, 2022. What if I was to essentially never have existed as Professor Hatter, and Professor Hatter started in 2022 instead? A whole lot would be different for sure. A whole lot would be different. I mean, the parameters here, I can't necessarily say that I would retain the same hat, because without being Professor Hatter, I wouldn't have had my Twitter and Instagram. I thought Twitter was going to be my big thing, that I'm like, I don't need Instagram, I'm going to, be big with Twitter. I haven't logged into my Professor Hatter Twitter account in probably a year or so. And I thought, like, I don't really need Instagram. I'll have it, but I really don't need it. But that's like my main thing now. If I wasn't Professor Hatter, I for sure would not know the same amount of people that I do now, or back then. Meeting so many people throughout Instagram helped me build as a hat collector and find new places other than just Lids and probably Dick's Sporting Goods. Even things as like Hat Club or Hat Heaven, Toppers for sure. Wouldn't have known about them unless I was on Instagram. Berdeen, I know about Clark Street Sports because I've seen it before in person. Hat Heaven, if I didn't mention that already. Crown Minded. That kind of exposure of, and also, not that I was Hatter on Facebook, but connecting to FHS on Facebook, that got a lot of different perspectives and heard from a lot of different people for the different kind of hats that are out there. Primarily fitted hats, but still hats. I mean, I love my hat diversity, but fitted hats, are kind of little bit more fun in a way with like the new fashion kind of orientation that has going on with all the different colors. That, you know, when starting the channel back 4 years ago, probably it really wasn't really thought of to have a undervisor color for a consistent basis. That there were sometimes that there were hats that had a undervisor color. If it wasn't like a tonal undervisor as color undervisor, or sometimes there might be a pattern, and there wouldn't necessarily be a whole lot of that out there on a consistent basis. Every so often, like there was this Illinois State University Redbirds snapback that I got from a Lids College Vault pop-up store summer of 2019, and very 90s theme. So this for sure is one of my coolest hats out there. Really, really cool. I mean, this was like really cool at the time in 2019, before the pinky that would arise in about February of 2020. This was as crazy as we got. But we didn't really have any idea that, you know, we would need these new colors and these new designs and these new connections of, hey, let's take a Cubs hat and connect it to this idea. Well, let's take this idea, this food. Let's take watermelon and put it into a color pattern for a hat for all the teams. Wasn't really thought of, you know, back in the day. Back in the day, and I mean, when we had first, when there was early hat channels out there, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but my inspiration point was watching Team Fitted TV back in about maybe 2016, but for sure 2017. I know I was at work with Fresh Time, and there would be some times where it would be Tuesday night watching Interstate 19 Report with John Baer, or Worst Collection Wednesday with Chicago Joe. And if I was at work, I was kind of like the maintenance person, like doing the cleaning and like sorting around the store. So it was kind of easy to put in one headphone to make it look discreet and listen to them. Or maybe I would just not have a headphone in and just listen to them on my phone while watching them and sorting throughout all the different stuff, and be like, alright, that looks good, take it out the trash, yeah. Oh, that's a cool hat. So that was first inspiration point. And the early days, there was us out there, but it wasn't really. If you took a time machine and plopped any of these newer hats that are popping up for fashion with these color under brims, these different color patterns, these side patches, I guess pins. I mean, pins are stupid, but if you drop that kind of hat back into 2018, 2019, when I was first starting, we probably would have lost our minds. Like, this is lost our minds in either this is really cool, or why the fuck are you doing this? Why are you ruining a good hat? So, kind of hard to believe that it became a regular trend. And to be honest, when the pink undervisors, that was the first undervisor color, came out, I wasn't as of a proponent for it. It was interesting, but I wasn't like, oh, I have to have it. I was like, it's a cool idea. I don't know. I mean, I guess the idea of pink wasn't really kind of hip. I didn't really have any pink hats in my collection. But, you know, there was content out there before the hype hats, the fashion hats, and for for us that were out there before 2020, Team Fitted TV, Shawn Stay Fitted, we miss him still. Major League Hats, official PHC now, TrenzUltd, Dre616. I know, if I remember right, perhaps Ace Boogie and Little Feet Big Heat might have been in might have started in 2019, if I remember right. You know, we still had stuff to talk about with hats. There was still hats to talk about. And then when you got into these more colorful hats, more people wanted to talk about hats, which was great. I mean, the reason I think, I want to be more optimistic about it, but I think primarily the reason why there was such a big boom in 2020 of new hat channels was because, I mean, yes, we were all in a pandemic, we were all kind of locked down, so was there anything else to really do? No, I guess not, but just like me, people were pushed by someone else to their creative boundaries and their limits, and those creative ideas were pushed, and someone had said, go do it. Go do it. You're going to be good at it. You're going to have fun. Maybe they're not going to say you're going to be good at it, but you're going to have fun with it. It's just like my coworker Peter had said to me one day, because I had always talked to him about, like, hey, I'm going to do a YouTube channel. If I did a YouTube channel about hats, I talk about this, I talk about that, and maybe I was annoying enough, and he's like, dude, shut up, just make the channel, just do it. That's why I think a lot of people started their channels, and maybe because there were, people saw that other channels were out there that, hey, I like to talk about hats, I'm going to make a hat channel. And it kind of built up. Now, there aren't as many active channels out there now as there used to be, which for sure is a shame, which I would have loved to see more active hat channels out there. I know that Addicted to Fitteds was one that was really good. Liked his setup. Always liked seeing, every so often, his background in hats change. Air Max Central did a little bit with YouTube, and then I think went to Instagram solely. Nucci 87. Always loved his videos. No one has been dropping the fire emoji lately, so it's been kind of quiet since. But I mean, there are still channels out there, but it's always nice when there's sustainability with this kind of topic, this content out there, that there are people wanting to, in a way, we're kind of talking about the same hats. I mean, I talk about hat diversity, but I talk about a lot of the same unboxings and the same, trends that are going on. But it's different perspectives, though, from different people, which makes it entertaining. Which is, for me, kind of like wanting to watch the bums on Get Up, First Take, like Stephen A. Smith, and pretty much everyone else at ESPN, other than the staff on The Point, Around the Horn, and PTI, to talk about baseball and hockey, because it's still sports, but it's not their kind of forte, so it's more entertaining in a way to hear what their perspectives are, just because it's not what they're used to, but it's just entertaining to hear what they have to say. Just like with other hat channels out there, I might not always agree with everyone, I might not be having the same mentality of how I strategize in collecting hats, but it's still entertaining to hear someone else talk about their hat collection and how they want to collect hats and how they, will pick up a hat and what details that they look at, and all that. So if I was to start the Professor Hatter in June 19th, 2022, there would be for sure a lot of channels to, look up to, but a lot of channels to kind of guide off of and to kind of watch for, like, hey, what are you guys doing? Because even in my early days, I did something similar, watching all those channels before I mentioned, before 2020, watching them and being like, all right, how do they format their video? How do they structure out, talking? Maybe I'm overthinking it, but how do they structure their time segments of talking about the hat, talking about this detail, talking about that part of the hat? What kind of energy do they have? What kind of ways do they make it entertaining? So I was being a little bit more analytical about what they did for their videos, and for sure now having all these different channels out there, I'm gonna say that there is about a good dozen and a half, about, I don't know, maybe 15 to almost 18 active hat channels out there on YouTube, that there are a lot of people to kind of watch. And I don't know if copying would be the right word, but to kind of, blend off of like what their style is. I mean, everyone has their own style. That's why everyone has their own channel. But for someone new to start, they kind of want to get an idea of, what to talk about the topic, the subject, and how to keep a good pace perhaps, and how to keep maybe the audience engaged, entertained. Because for sure, maybe I've been failing at that because I only have 270 subscribers right now. I've been around quite a while. I usually average on about 45 to maybe 55 views on a video after about 2 weeks, and then barely it putters out. So maybe I haven't, maybe also watching all these different videos and channels out there now, if I was to restart, maybe I would have had a better idea of how to keep my videos shorter, but probably wouldn't happen. It's just wishful thinking. But everyone has their own kind of influence on other creators out there, and still I'm watching other hat channels out there to kind of get like either video ideas or to get an idea of how to, maybe with the camera display the hat. So I'm still out there watching all the channels to still get ideas, because that's how you should kind of stay relevant in a way. That's how you keep active and engaged. And wanting to be wishful thinking. Now, looking at some of my analytical stats here, it's kind of conflicting with when looking at the views. So it shows here that for lifetime, I have 32,461 views, and in watch time, I have just over 1,700 hours of watch time. So it seems a little conflicting where when I look at the monetization tab on my studio part of my account of like, you can finally get monetized if you get to these 4 different benchmarks. One of the benchmarks being you have to have 1,000 subscribers that I've known for a long time, and the watch hours has kind of ebbed and flowed, but it's at 4,000 public watch hours, which last I checked was like I was at like somewhere in the hundreds, like 500 to 700, I think. So it was kind of confusing. It feels a little bit more disheartening than the YouTube Studio analytics leads on. That I've put so many hours into these videos that that's what comes out. That I know I'm not the most popular channel out there. I know that pretty much any new channel that's come out since 2020 within their first 6 months, they're already at 300 subscribers, or somehow gotten to more subscribers than I have. But I want to more think that being around this long, that I have 1,700 hours, a little bit more than just the 700 hours that the monetization tab had said. And I don't care about the monetization part. I mean, there are plenty of videos where I have copyright claims on my videos where the video is not affected, but if you were to be monetized, then you wouldn't get any money out of it, which, fine. I'm never going to get there anyway, so who the fuck cares? This has always been about wanting to do what the early guys had done before, just to show off hats, have a dialogue, have a conversation with other hat collectors out there through YouTube, through the comment sections, to kind of get more people engaged with hat topics. And for me, to talk about more than just fit hats, talk about dad hats, talk about snapbacks, to talk about bucket hats, and talk about college hats, WNBA hats, TV show, movie hats, college hats, I think I said that already, or other things out there. I even have a musical hat. I have Hamilton. So, that's what I've wanted ever since the beginning with this channel, is to just create more dialogue that we can all, share upon, and what topics that we talk about. So, I mean, currently, every 18 months, it seems like I get another 100 subscribers, and currently, I'm at 270 subscribers, which should be on pace to get to 300 by October of 2022. We'll see, for sure. I expect a bit of a surge with some new video ideas that I'm gonna have for the summertime. But it's there are some times where it has felt disheartening that I put so many hours into there, not at Wrigley, into the computer, into editing. I joke around that it takes a lot of work for no one to watch my videos, because if you've seen the videos I put out, I put more production value, I think, into my videos than might be necessary. But especially those special effects where like I had a recent video where I did my trailer for the upcoming summer semester, and in the video I chopped off my hand. I had a green screen glove, and I removed my hand and had blood dripping down. Or in the past, I've done cloning with myself, that I've put myself into 2 spots, and it's like, there's 2 of me, one is enough already, or there's actually one time I put 14 of myself into a classroom, and that nearly broke my computer. My computer was having a stroke. I mean, I had really tricked at my computer, but it still could handle 14 of me. So, I do all these kind of fun things because I've had that video making background, and it's also, with this channel, has helped me grow more with my video work, because about 10 years ago, maybe I'll do a video some other time where I look at some of my early videos when I was in high school that I did. I was the only one that knew how to do iMovie, or the newer version of iMovie, the one with the star and not the clapboard. And they're like, hey, you know how to use a new iMovie? You're in charge of commercials for the morning announcements. Okay. So I did the commercials, and some of them were kind of bad, where I could have implemented better music techniques, but some of them were also kind of entertaining. Some of them were fun. So I've had that creative mindset when doing my hat videos, that there's a story to tell usually with these videos, and I try to make a story with it, that the cold opening has some sort of way to lead into the video, that there's maybe props involved or some special effects or some other video to use that helps put it all together. That I have a more creative mind than others out there when making some of these hat videos, and wanting to use that creativity to have fun. I mean, 10 years ago I didn't know that I was going to be able to use green screen technology to cut off my hand, cut off my head, transport myself to Wrigley Field, or do these other cool things. So, for sure that has been a journey as well in this whole channel. And for sure I've had a lot of friends along the way, a lot of close friends to support the channel, whether it be through meeting people through Instagram and through being Professor Hatter, or even at work I've had co-workers kind of take either a little bit of an interest, or some people have taken a decent interest into what I do. For sure, bringing in my hats like every day into work, they know that. And I get to gloat at work. I'm like, I have the #1 hat channel on YouTube, and it's always just fun to just bring in different hats in. And hey, what number hat do you want me to bring in today? Or what kind of theme of hats should I bring in? So I've had quite a bit of support throughout the years, and I mean, it's still fun to do these videos. That as down upon myself I can be with not being at these higher numbers, I can still be comfortable knowing that I can sit here comfortably to say that I have fun with the videos that I do. That even though they might not get all the views that I want, it might not get to triple digits, they're still fun to make. That someone out there will at least appreciate it. And I know my close group on Instagram that I've met throughout the years, for sure they're big supporters. But even to know that that's only like maybe just a handful of guys, but that there are still a good dozen or two people out there that will watch my videos and maybe learn something, get a good laugh. I want to say that, I mean, despite being the #1 hatch on YouTube, that I'm also the funniest out there. I'd like to think so. That they, learn something new, that they are kind of engaged with something, that they maybe feel the same way about something that might have angered me with, something that Lid or Heckle did, or what New Era did, or something else like that, or some other topic, that they're like, yeah, I feel the same way. That person stinks, or that idea isn't so good. That kind of engages people. That's what I've always wanted to do with this idea of, being Professor, and sorry, and having a kind of school environment of engaging. I mean, I named myself Professor Hatter, Professor because it was my nickname when I was in 5th grade by my teacher, Mr. McGovern, that I was, I guess, smart somehow. And Hatter is Swedish for hats, or is hat in Swedish. But that's what I've wanted to do. Maybe I don't always live up to that expectation that I put on myself. Every so often I kind of think, what should I do differently? But I still gotta maybe learn throughout the years still to come of doing this, of how to be better at it. One last thing that I want to point out that is really, really cool, that I kind of want to go back to with the idea, because this is like my short version, my abridged version of answering the question of what if I was to start my hat channel now compared to 2018. There's a longer version that I'll have out another time. But to think that if I was to start now, there would be plenty of other channels to watch out there. I mean, I have been keeping track over the years of the amount of YouTube related hat channels out there, and especially in 2020, there was a big boom then. But I know that, hold on, yeah, at my listing here in my spreadsheet, there's about, in the span between 2017 until about mid 2022 right now, when I'm filming this video, collectively there's been about 3 dozen YouTube channels out there that have a focus or a relation to hats. That's quite a bit, actually, when you think about it. To talk about something that just goes on your head, that for most people, when they pick up a hat, they're like, oh yeah, it's my college, or it's, hey, it's my favorite team, or hey, my daughter or my son's going to that school, or it's just a hat I wear outside when it's sunny out, when I mow the lawn or I go for a run. But there's more to hats than just that. That there are people out there that realize that there's a lot more detail that can be observed into hats. And to think that just this piece of material that just goes on your head, there have been at least 36 individuals out there, assuming that the channel is run by one person there. I know that some other channels out there have multiple people, 2 or more. But if you think about like other YouTube channels out there that, like talk about like technology, there's a shit ton of technology YouTube channels out there that do gaming. I mean, there's like probably a shit ton just for PlayStation 4 compared to PlayStation 5 games, or Xbox and retro games, for makeup out there, for DIY projects. I mean, there's a shit ton of YouTube channels out there, and for these like different categories, there's a lot in there already that, after a while it's like, okay, well, if someone wants to start new, they're just doing it there to have fun, maybe not necessarily to, make a big name for themselves, because there are big names out there already. But to think that 36 channels, I'm just gonna round up, 36 channels have taken upon themselves to have the courage to put a camera or webcam in front of them, hit the record button, and say, hi, my name is, and I like to talk about hats. Because I know one of my friends out there from Australia, he tried his own YouTube channel, but he just said it wasn't as comfortable to talking to the camera. He felt kind of a little awkward, and I don't feel as awkward talking to the camera right now. It feels more awkward when I have people in the house, but not right now. So that's when I feel awkward, because then my parents are like, who are you talking to down there? Who's on the phone? Nobody. But I still do applaud those people out there who are on this list, and maybe those who are just new recently that I haven't put down, because I know that there's one more person out there. I think his name's like JFK Way. I know JFK is a part of the name. He does hats and comics. That I applaud those who have had that courage to put the camera in front of them, hit record, listen to themselves talk, because listening to yourself talk like right now as you're recording and making the video, it sounds okay. But then when you put it onto editing, when you put it onto the screen to edit, if you do any editing and do care about the videos, then you probably cringe more hearing yourself. And I've gotten used to it over the years. It's like, fine, whatever. And I do want to also point out in my editing process that I think it was in a video recently, at least recently, and then in years past. Remember that one NFL Monday Night Football game that Eli Manning was flipping off the camera? Yeah, you might have seen me flip the camera off a few times like I am now. This is not personal. This is not personal. I mean, I know that I've had Sergio, official PHC. He's mentioned this to me before. He knows why I do it. But if I haven't mentioned it before, I flip off the camera when I'm editing to know that, hey, I need to make a cut and start over. It's nothing to anyone out there. It is not. It is not at all. It is a personal cue that, hey, I messed up. When you see it in post, cut there and then restart the next scene. So, just in case anyone has ever seen that, that's what that means. But I for sure hope to add more to this list of hat channels out there. I mean, some people aren't as active anymore, but it's always good to have more channels out there, because it kind of then saves me from watching another Family Guy rerun on YouTube or Vine compilation that I want to, look back on, or watch something other mindless video on YouTube compared to what the glory of hats brings to YouTube. So, I don't know if that really answers the question of if I was to start over my YouTube channel in 2022, what would it be like? I would for sure still want to promote hat diversity as best I can. Maybe might feel intimidating with all these other fitted channels out there that don't necessarily either accept or acknowledge other hats out there, snapbacks or dad hats. I mean, I can understand that, if you have a bigger head size, they don't fit, I understand. But kind of, nice that, that I bring the diversity with my channel now, but if I was to start over, would be the same? Maybe not as much, because I would want to feel like I want to keep up with everyone. But maybe I would still have that kind of a rebel in me, that free thinker that wants to not conform to what everyone's doing. I mean, that's at least the hope. But for sure, there will be plenty more Professor Hatter. Right now in the summertime, I am looking for a new job for a paralegal. So I will say that once I do find a new job, I will be working like a 9-to-5 job, pretty much, Monday through Fridays, weekends off. So it'd be nice to have like that kind of consistency. But, excuse me, making the videos, I'll have to adapt to a different schedule at that point. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For sure, I have plenty of ideas that don't have to rely off of a new hat that comes out to make videos. For sure, that's what makes me the #1 hat channel on YouTube, with the different creativity that I have, that I can not rely on a new hat that comes out to make a video. That there's other topics out there that I've kind of taken that inspiration from Dre616 with his videos and what he's done, talking about these macro topics of hats for his channel on YouTube. Or talking about some retro stuff like TrenzUltd does. Talking about minor league hats like official PHC does would be nice. It's not really my forte, but it's always good that he talks about that kind of material. So I've been rambling on here for quite a while. So if you have made it to the end, fantastic. I really applaud you for listening to me. I mean, I'll probably put at the beginning of the video that this is a talking head video, that there's really not much to see other than when I talked about the funky undervisor pattern for the snapback that I have here. Otherwise, it's just me just talking. You don't really need to see anything. But I really appreciate that those 1,700 hours that people have put into watching my videos means something, that I want to earn their interest, earn their engagement for being a student here. That it's the idea to put myself out there, not to... Maybe in the past I had, begged for likes and subscribes and comments. I mean, for sure comments I want the most. Subscribers, it was nice. Likes, maybe at one time I cared about, but not anymore. It's just a dumb stat. But I've always wanted to earn everyone's interest, because knowing that there's about 30 so channels, that's been out there, there's a lot more channels out there that you can watch from. I mean, please go watch other hat channels out there, and I'll leave all the other channels that have been out there, all of them, even the ones that aren't as active anymore. I'll leave them in the description, so that's your homework, to go watch 2 of their videos. Now, 3 of their videos out there, and kind of bask in the creativity that they bring to the table. That everyone has their own way of talking about hats in their own creative way. So make sure you go watch others out there. But knowing that there's others out there, I want to be able to earn your interest. So thank you for those who have watched my videos, who have commented, for sure. I love that the most. And just to have that dialogue about hats. And for those who have become students / subscribers, we're at 270. We're getting closer to 1 million subscribers. We're really close. So if you want to be a part of the hat channel, the #1 hat channel on YouTube that got to 1 million subscribers first, and be a part of history, then I hope I've earned your interest. As always, hands off to you for watching. I'll see you next time in class, everyone. Class is dismissed. Here's to getting to 5 years.